It's a huge mistake to take a great agent or a great salesperson and turn them into a manager if they don't want to do it. Great agents and salespeople are hard to find. Don't take the best player on your team and put them as in the role of a coach because you want them on the fields in the game.
Welcome to Real Estate Leadership Unlocked. I'm Debbie Lariviere, founder of Montere Coaching, where we help brokerage owners, independent firm leaders, and team leads develop scalable and profitable businesses built on strategy, clarity, and performance. This conversation will get you thinking differently. Whether you're a seasoned broker, emerging leader, or the one making the next key hire, unlock transparently what it takes to lead in real estate today. Greatness is ahead. Hi, I'm Debbie Lariviere here with Nick Krautter, author and realtor, author of The Golden Handoff. I actually have my official signed copy here for everyone to see from when Nick initially wrote this book back in 2014, 2015.
That's right.
And,
that's almost 10 years.
I know, promoted this book. It's been truly a roadmap for me as I'm working with many of my brokerage clients as well as agents. And, how to buy and sell an agent's business, I see it more as exit strategy. And I know we're going to expand a little bit more today on the partial exit strategy, which we're seeing more prominently in today's marketplace. Yeah. So I'm going to turn it over to you for a formal introduction, and I'm excited to have you today.
Awesome. Well, Debbie, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk to your people and really enjoyed meeting you and talking to your group before. So I've been in real estate since 2006, primarily Portland, Oregon. I lived there for 20 years and then work in Oregon and Washington. And in 2010, during the last kind of great recession, a lot of really great realtors in my office started getting new jobs, relocating, retiring. And I asked one of my agent friends, Renee, who's a character in the book, she's a real person. I basically literally said, I would love to help your clients because she was getting a job back in nonprofit fundraising, which is what she had done before real estate. And so I didn't have a plan. I knew she had a ton of really great clients, mostly higher net worth. She is, 10 years ahead of me in her career. And so 6 months later, we ended up working together and we kind of built the framework and the process that became the Golden Handoff. And the reason I wrote the book was really to change how people in real estate look at retirement and succession planning. Because when I started helping people with this and I was buying businesses and taking over client lists, I call it adopting clients because you're not really buying leads. You're being endorsed by the retiring agent. I was looking for a resource. I was looking for this book to help me with a model of what to follow and how to do it. And unfortunately, there just wasn't anything there. And so at that point, I had bought 3 or 4 businesses. I started working on the book and I very arrogantly thought, oh, this will be easy. I'll just knock this out between running my team and doing my life. And so 3 years of writing and editing later, the book came out in 2015. It'll actually be 10 years this October, which is so crazy. It's gone quick, and it's really cool to see the impact it's made. I looked yesterday; it's still in the top 10. So thank you everyone who buys the book and promotes it. It really is a passion project. If you're an author, you don't make a lot of money on books. You make a lot more money as a realtor. And so it was really something I did because I wanted to give back and have a model for other people that I didn't have. So there you go.
Yeah, and I'm personally grateful. Like I said, way back in the day when I was working as a CEO of a national franchise, that was one of the pieces where we were having that older generation look to transition out after the economic crisis of 2008, and it enabled them to create some passive income by me following your roadmap on how to take these agents through this process. I had to chuckle when you said that it was a 3-year labor of love, because in the book you talk about how that marketing plan is typically 3 years. So it seems fitting that it would take you that long to figure this out, so that we could all benefit from it. Well, what I'd love to do is I'd love to start. I know with the new edition, you start mentioning more about the partial agent versus or the partial transition versus the full handoff with a quote retiring agent. And I'd love for you to share a little bit of the differences in what you're seeing from what you classified as a retiring agent to the partial agent handoff.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. Because So I redid the book earlier this year. So there's a new version. So the one you have is the original version. The new one's the one with the white and blue cover. So it says second edition everywhere, but if you're looking and you're not sure, just get the white and blue cover. It's so funny because I think as a realtor and in sales, like one of the things that really separates good from great is learning how to pivot when you get a no. And the biggest no I got in looking to buy businesses was agents who said, I love this idea. I want to retire, but I'm not ready yet. And so I would treat it kind of like a home seller where it was like all or nothing. And I used to teach that too, put them in your database, stay in touch, share your successes. But then later on, I realized there's a lot of really great realtors that don't want to ever retire, but they also don't want to grow their business. So how can we help all of those people? And you're nodding because that's a lot of people. Because you kind of start out, you're really excited, you grow, and you eventually hit a plateau. And it's really difficult after a certain point to continue to grow. That's why we have all these other models like expansion and like people franchising and doing things like that is, once you kind of hit your capacity in your market, you go somewhere else. Well, most people don't do that. They hit a plateau and then it's like kind of like the economy. It's never very flat for very long. It's usually going up or down. The same thing with the real estate market. It's very rare that prices stay the same for a long time. And so for all these people that are not looking to grow, but don't want to stop completely, one of the big problems is if they're not engaging in marketing at a high level to their client lists, we all know you're losing clients. And you're losing lots of clients, people that are really good, that like you, that are loyal, but they're not hearing from you because you're not growing anymore and you're not marketing, every month, every day, like an agent who's in that growth mode. And so the partial handoff is a way for you to connect and help those agents. And the way I describe it is, if you've reached that point in your career, you've earned the right to work with the people you want in the areas you want, when you want. But don't say no to everything else, because if you're not intentional, you're saying no to all of these other people because you're not really engaging. But if you're intentional about it and say, hey, I only want to work on listings in this price point in these neighborhoods, then connect with another agent that's on that growth path, that's excited to work late at night and on weekends because they want that opportunity. They're dying for that opportunity that now you don't need. So it's a way to still say yes to all of those people that you would have said no to, and make sure someone there is there to serve them and take care of them, and also get referral fees. So your income continues to go up. You're serving these people that otherwise might find a rookie agent that isn't good, or someone that isn't quite as ethical. You can pick someone really great for them to work with. It doesn't have to be you. And so there's kind of three models for the retiring agent. There's the big one is what I call a phase out. And that's for the agents that are looking to kind of slow down and taper off. And what I found, there's a whole chapter of interviews in the new edition, is that when agents connect and the adopting agent starts helping and taking care of the database and marketing and taking over some of those kind of things that most people think of as a hassle, those retiring agents who are still wanting to stay in the business, it's interesting, pretty quickly when they see that working and they start to see that success and they start to get those referral fees, they end up handing off the entire business a lot quicker. Because I think the fear of a lot of retiring agents is, what if I pick someone and it doesn't work, right? I've spent my whole career to build these relationships with these clients, right? And it's very important that gets taken care of really well. That's why there's a specific process in the book, so you don't hopefully screw it up, and you do the steps and make sure that those relationships are handed off correctly to the new agent. The other piece is an honorary team member. And this is kind of what I am in my residential business. I love talking to my clients. I love engaging with them. I love doing consultations and problem solving. But when it comes to showing houses and taking listings and doing market reports and tours, my team handles all of that now. And so I get the referral fees on it. I still get to engage with clients. Because, a lot of these people have become friends. I've done this for 20 years. So some of my closest friends started out as clients 20 years ago. And so, of course, I want to talk to them and engage with them. And then the last piece is if you are like a hyper-specialized expert, so like retirement communities, luxury property, floating homes, condos, resort properties, those types of categories, niche categories, you connect with someone and work with them either as they join your team or you join their team. But then for a while, you're training someone, either the owner or the lead agent, on what is your specialty, so that they have that knowledge and they can serve those clients in that niche. Because selling homes is very different than selling condos. And so understanding that market is really, really critical, whether it's luxury or condo or resort or 55 and older. They all have different nuances that people learn over time as they specialize. And so to transfer that knowledge to the new generation is really critical. And I call that a train out. So there's kind of those three big scenarios, and most people are going to fit into one of those. But the process works even if you kind of do a hybrid version of those. I think you'll see yourself in one of those characters and one of those plans.
Yeah, I love that with the options. And so often, I look at the clientele that I work with for the agent side, and we do have some that have worked to transition out and have really gotten out there to meet the right partner for who they want to partner with and do the handoff. The other side is, I'll just keep referring out to a showing agent. And I like that. You keep it internal. Make it someone specific to your team that knows your systems, knows how you run, like you said, referring out and maybe initially the showing piece, and then all of that process of the processes of the business and taking a referral fee for it. What are you seeing in looking for that person for a handoff? The questions I get, because as you know, there's, I don't know, I think probably 500 different brokerages right out there now. Do I have to go to their brokerage? Do they come to my brokerage? How do we make this work? Does it have to be someone already at my brokerage? And so in finding that right partner, like you said, the hungry one, of course, that's willing to get out there, most likely has systems in place, so you're not having to come in and also set up systems. It's more of a marketing handoff. Who's the right partner? How do we find that person?
That's great. So what most people are going to naturally find is you want to work with someone you know and trust that also has the capacity to grow and serve those clients. Because the key thing, whether you're doing a traditional full handoff or a partial handoff, is that the adopting agent or their team or the brokerage is the one taking over all the responsibility for marketing and staying engaged in the calls and all the things that you do to maintain relationships. So number one, they have to be able and willing to do that. And not everyone can. When I sold my residential business, I was really surprised for two things. A lot of the agents I knew and trusted that I thought would do a great job were also looking to retire. And keep in mind, people don't transmit that. These are like big agents, big teams. I was surprised about half of them because they were my age, right? They were about 20 years in, and they were, looking to either change or get out. The other thing was some of the people that were still looking to grow, it was too big of a jump because I was looking to hand off 800 clients. And it's a lot of people to stay in touch with. I ended up working with another team because the only way I was able to do that was with my own team. And so we basically set it up so that of those 800 clients, there's 4 agents responsible for talking to them, so 200 people each. You asked about the brokerage. With a traditional handoff, that's usually pretty easy. You want to look to either get into a referral network or talk to your broker to make sure you're not paying full fees on just getting referral income if you're not actively selling or listing. What I did with agents whose brokers wouldn't do that is I would just put them on my team, and then I would basically cover any and all of their expenses. So their referral fees were going 100% to them. So I firmly believe that that's the fair way to do it. I think that it's okay if there is a small processing fee, but to take a huge percentage of that when they're also getting it from the agent doing the actual deal, I think is like kind of double dipping. And to me, that doesn't feel fair. Where it gets tricky is with the partial handoffs, because if you're co-listing and co-marketing, some brokerages will do I'm trying to think what we would call it, because I've done a couple, basically like a shared supervision and liability agreement where both brokers would say, okay, we agree to collaborate if there's a problem. So if like someone makes a claim to your E&O or, an ethics violation or something like that, God forbid, that both brokers agree that they're going to share in their responsibility. And a lot of brokers don't want to do that. What typically happens, I would say, over half of the people are already at the same brokerages because that's the people you know the best. It doesn't mean that that's the right fit or the best fit. So don't stop looking there. I think you should. Like I even went as far to ask some lender and title partners when I was looking to sell, hey, who's out there that's up and coming and new and making a lot of noise that maybe I haven't met, because I wasn't in production for the last 5 years because I had a whole team. So there might be a really great agent and team that my team's talking to, but I don't necessarily know them because, it's not like back in the day when I was doing everything myself and I was the lead rainmaker and doing all of the steps. make sure your brokerages agree, make sure the fee structures work. If not, depending on who's kind of has the highest pedigree, right? If you're joining a team to take over, you might be needing to move to their brokerage. Or if you're looking to phase out, probably you want to join the adopting agent's brokerage. And again, if it's in a referral network and you're not co-marketing or co-listing, it's pretty easy. But if you're going to co-list or co-market, I think being at the same brokerage is easier, or you need to make sure your brokers are okay with you guys operating like that.
Yeah. What's interesting for me is where I'm seeing it is with these independent firms, mom and pop, we'll call them, or mom and pop with just a couple of agents. They're at that phase where, like you said, they're ready to either transition onto something else or only work with the people that they want to ideally work with. And that's where I've encouraged, just like you said, see how you can create a win with the adopting agent's brokerage. I know you don't want to lose your brand. And at the same time, if your goal is an exit strategy, let's create an exit strategy and understand that co-branding has to happen at some level, because I agree with you. I'm not seeing too many brokerages, especially in today's landscape, be willing to allow that cross migration of brokerages on listings and that sort of thing.
And I ran my own brokerage for a long time, so I totally understand the instinct to not want to do that, because, the broker doesn't necessarily know this other agent or their team or their brokerage. And so it is a lot easier and safer to keep it all in one house. But yeah, I think, keep in mind, if you've built a team at all, so if you've had a buyer's agent or showing agent, you've already retired from part of your job. I mean, most of us end up hiring an admin to do paperwork and all that. So you retire from that. And if you've joined a brokerage, you're kind of retired from some of it too, because you're the review and a lot of the marketing and a lot of the legal process and business formation in your state has been handled by your broker. That is not, a freebie. That is a lot of work. And so the most common thing is typically you want to graduate to working on listings and you want to hand off the buyers. So if you have your own team, that's easy, right? You have it internally, but a partial handoff is a way to essentially create like a super team without having to do all the hiring and training and all the work. You can just plug into someone else's existing team, again, either fully or partially, and get all those benefits, focus on the stuff you love, and let them take over all of the marketing and calls with all the people that you're not as motivated to stay engaged with. If you're not still on that growth path and looking to hire a lot of agents and admin and build your team, that opportunity is really easy now through this partial handoff, which is really exciting. I think that creates just like this massive opportunity for growth for teams that are looking to expand, because now imagine the big problem I had with my growth when I bought 6 businesses, and we eventually had to start saying no because I had 12 agents and we were at capacity. I couldn't ask my people to call more people or have more clients or show more houses because we were already doing so much. I know one month I called my transaction coordinator. We had put 36 properties into contract in 1 month. And I said, "Hey, how are we doing?" She's like, "I can handle it this month, but we can't do this every month." She's like, "I can handle about 20. But if we start doing this every month, I'm going to need another person to help me." And so, unfortunately, that wasn't our consistent month by month plan. But
well, I was about to say, at 36 deals, hire someone.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, and I see that when you think about what you've done with the different teams, did you ever see it where some of the team members, if the retiring agent or transitioning agent had team members, would you take those team members on, or was it more of you are basically transitioning just the business database, that piece of it?
Oh, no, I think that when you have a team and resources, you need to really compare your organizations and kind of all the players on your team, all the resources you have. Like maybe someone has an amazing retail location and a main street that you want to move into and take over the lease, or maybe they own it and you lease back from them. They might have just a phenomenal marketing person or buyer's agents. And so this process really does work very well. So you need to plan on doing more business. And so it is natural that you're probably going to need more support and more people to serve that expanded client roster, because this isn't small growth. When I bought my first business, I went from 200 clients to 500 clients in one day. And so to shift into that is very, very difficult. So when I did that, I also took over, I hired Renee's assistant, and she was fantastic. She was just a super hard worker, very smart. And that was really critical in making that a success, because there's no way I could have just, sent out all of those, 200 mailers, you order some pizzas and you stay at the office late and you send them out. 500, okay, now we need to hire someone to do this. We need to like have systems and marketing support companies and things like that. So there's a point where, scaling up requires a lot more resources and people. And that's important when you're looking who to hire and partner with. When you're retiring or slowing down, they have to have that capacity. So I think at the end of the day, the one caveat is that the adopting agent has to have kind of the veto rights on everything, because they're the one responsible for it. They're the one paying for everything. They're the one managing. And people have different models and pay structures. Some people do salary, some do salary and bonus, some is commission only. So you have to really get into the nitty gritty and make sure that the people and the cultures will match up. And also that those agents want to come over and that they want to be a part of this new thing. One thing, you didn't mention it, but I want to bring it up. A lot of times with teams, people think that there's an obvious successor within the team. But what I found and what happened to me is there was no one on my team that wanted to take over that responsibility of running everything and being kind of the buck stops here person. And so when I sold the business, I really was hoping I didn't have to go external, but I didn't have the bandwidth to keep managing that and our commercial division. And that's what I focus on now. And that's why I made that decision. So I'm still in production with commercial and investment, but I was really hoping, and I was talking to a couple of people on my team about that, and they really just loved being agents and wanted to stay in that role. And it's a huge mistake to take a great agent or a great salesperson and turn them into a manager if they don't want to do it, because great agents and salespeople are hard to find. And so don't take the best player on your team and put them as in the role of a coach, because you want them on the field right in the game. And so you got to look at all of those things when you're looking to do this. But, a team merging with a team, however you structure it, you're probably going to need some of those players and some of that support to combine that, so to take care of that much, much bigger client list now.
Yeah. And we see that too in that legacy planning where there's a family member on the team. It's that knee jerk of, oh, let me give it to Billy because Billy's my cousin, son, nephew, whomever. Right. And they might not be a good fit for that role too. So it is. And I could see the benefit as you were talking. I could see the benefit to some of the team members if they want to transition onto the new team. One, it creates leverage for the new team. So you're not just adding a 500 person database to an existing team that's busy. The other side of it is oftentimes because we as leaders tend to step out gradually and then all of a sudden, right. We step out gradually, that our clients actually know our team members more so than they know us. And so the relationship is already there. It's not just to me, I don't see it as just as a marketing. I see it as value because there's that person that they already know still working with them under a new brand, picture, logo, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're working with really good transaction coordinators and support staff, they might know them better than the agents because they might talk to them more frequently because they're the ones doing the updates and the check-ins and things as part of that sales process. And that's when those relationships are like kind of at their highest point. One thing I learned the hard way and that I wish I had done better was, when you're working at that really, really high level, if you're in that point where you have a team and you're doing a lot of volume, it is impossible to stay in touch with everyone about everything. You just can't do it. You have to make peace with that. But there's a book called The Power of Moments, and there are high points in every deal, right? So when you get your offer accepted, when you get through inspections, when you get through appraisal and closing, those are kind of the highlights for the client. Whether they're buying or selling, those are the big hurdles you clear to get to the finish line. You can absolutely make time to connect with clients at one or two of those high point moments. So typically offer accepted, like I said, inspections negotiated, appraisal done, and closing. So I would recommend if you had one, it would be closing. If you had two, it would be like offer accepted, closing would be the times to check in and say, thank you so much. So great to work with you. You can always call me and my team, because otherwise, if you let your team do all of that, it's great for efficiency, but as the team lead and as the owner, you lose some of that connection. 5, 10, 15 years later, that makes a difference when you're partnering and those new adopting agents are calling and say, hey, I work with Nick Krautter and we wanted to check in. And they're like, Nick, oh yeah, I think he owned the company where Glenn worked, but I only talked to Glenn and Stacy. I didn't talk to Nick that much. I mean, I saw his face on the newsletter and the emails, but I don't know if I ever met Nick. And so I would encourage everyone, wherever you're at in your career, that those high point moments are a time to make an outsized impact without having to be unrealistic about how much time you have to do it. And then ongoing, if you're thinking, what do I do for follow-up? Just call everyone on the anniversary of the sale. Like, that is the easiest thing. I had a lot of mentors say that was the one thing that they did that had the most impact. So just put it in your calendar and just, again, as you go on, I sold over 1,000 houses. It's a lot of people to stay in touch with. But again, if you're going to put the effort in, it's the way to do it at the highest impact moment.
Yeah. Well, if you look at that, 1,000 divided by 12 months, divided by 4 weeks, it's not unbearable, right? We just have to chunk that down. Yeah. It's like, and you should be making more than 3 calls a day anyway, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Hope so. Well, depending on your goals.
I was going to say, depending on your bandwidth within the team too, right? Or your focus within the team. And I love that. Yeah. People go, oh my gosh, 1,000 calls. It's not that many. So
we're not doing it one day.
No, just make the calls. Love it. So I don't want to be a book spoiler, but walk us through a little bit of what that marketing program would look like. And then how do you determine compensation? How long does that last? Those are probably the 2 biggest questions that I'm consistently asked as people start looking to create some type of transition plan.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah. So I'm going to start with partial handoff, and we're going to end up at like traditional fully retired. So I think when you're working together, every team has different models, but as simply as I can say it, you have to figure out your own team model. But typically, if you're going to do a partial handoff, when that retiring agent is still working with you in that limited role, the easiest thing is typically to treat them like you would treat another team member. So what I see a lot of times is that the team will take essentially a referral fee on the deals the agent does, and then they'll pay a referral fee on all of the stuff that the team does from that client list of the retiring agent. Again, teams are done differently. They provide different resources. They have different overheads and costs and all those things. So I don't get too deep in how to do it, but basically, while they're working, team deal on the stuff that the retiring agent does and referral fees on everything that the team does for the retiring agent with that client list. So again, if they're just doing like 10 listings a year, team deal on that. And then let's say the team does 20 deals with buyers and other listings outside of that box, they pay a referral fee on all of those. Once you're ready to fully hand everything off and you say, I'm not going to keep co-marketing, I'm not going to do active listings or buyers, then it starts a 3-year process where for the first year, I recommend a 30% referral fee. Year 2 is 20, year 3 is 10, and after that, the adopting team owns everything. The key thing is in that phase, first of all, so if you do a normal referral, so Debbie, I send you a client, they buy a house in your market, you help them buy a house, you pay me a referral fee. If 5 years later they decide to sell that house, you just sell it and you don't pay me anything, right? With a golden handoff, if someone buys a house in year 1 and then in year 2 they buy an investment property and then in year 3 they decide that they need to move because the house is too small now and they sell that and buy another one, that's 4 deals in 3 years, and you would pay a referral fee on all 4 of those transactions during your contract period. So that's a really key difference that I like to point out between the golden handoff model and just a simple referring someone to someone else. The reason it's 3 years and the reason why it starts at a higher referral fee and goes down is at the beginning, my success as an adopting agent is almost entirely based on how good of a job the retiring agent did in engaging with their clients and maintaining those relationships. But 3 years from now, that success is based on how good of a job is the adopting agent team doing with their marketing and their outreach and communication and their relationship skills. And so then that goes down. There's also, you have to have a license somewhere. It doesn't have to be in that state. So if you've already moved and you've got license in a new state, just keep that. If you're not moving out of state or you're not going to work in another market, you're just truly retiring, just keep your license active with your state. Every state's different. So in Oregon, it's every 2 years. I think in California, it's every 4. I don't know I'm not sure if there's any states that do it every year, but for probably a pretty small fee and some continuing ed online in most places, you can keep your license and keep getting referral fees.
Yeah, here in North Carolina, we're every year, but it is a small fee just to keep an active license. And then, like you said, 8 hours. It's 8 hours if you're not actively selling. So
yeah, great.
It's easy enough to keep it going.
So the marketing plan. So in the book, the actual golden handoff process is really that process where the adopting agent, retiring agent collaborate on a marketing and communication process with all of those adopted clients. So there's an email and a letter, which I call the announcement letter. It's in the book. And if you go to goldenhandoff.com and sign up, you'll get access to that. Check your spam if you've got like a bunch of filters, but you'll get a link that lets you download contract scripts, dialogues, announcement letter in editable format, so you can change it, use as much or as little as you want. Asterisks, I'm not an attorney, so it's a framework. Make sure you have your attorneys look at it and your broker look at it and make the changes you need in your market for your situation. But basically, you sign a contract, which is essentially a referral agreement for multiple years for all these people, as opposed to one. There's an announcement letter that goes out in the mail and email that has to come from the retiring agent. Make sure, even if the adopting agent team is helping facilitate it, it has to come on the retiring agent's letterhead from them. I do it and pay for it, but we make it, we use their marketing branding name on it so that the clients get it and they know it's from their agent. Otherwise, it's just a marketing piece that anyone could send. So that letter and the email have to come from the retiring agent. Ideally, the retiring agent calls their like A-plus clients and tells them about this and explains who I am and why they are working with me. And then the next piece is those clients now just get put into my like A client plan. Because again, you're not buying leads here. You're buying relationships. You're buying an endorsement from that retiring agent. And those are not cold calls. They're very warm calls. And so you want to look at your marketing plans of the retiring agent and the adopting agent and make sure that they mesh pretty well. They don't have to be identical, but I think that marketing plan needs to be a part of your contract. So it's not, hey, we'll do a good job. It's, we're going to call twice a year. We're going to host this many events. We're going to send a newsletter this many times in the mail. We're going to email this many things, and we're going to, do this much with social media. So again, kind of like look at what gave you success and look at what helped you connect with those clients, and make sure the adopting agent is doing a reasonable amount of those things to maintain those relationships and really, earn the business, because their ability to earn the business is your ability to get referral fees. And again, hopefully grow faster and retire younger. That's really the goal. So whatever phase you're in is that. So that's really the process. And the next question, which you haven't asked, is how long does that transition period take? I really think it kind of depends. The bigger the business, the longer you want to co-market. If there's actual marketing pieces, like they've been like running an ad in the back of like a neighborhood newspaper for 30 years, you want to co-brand that for probably a couple years and keep it going if it is actually getting results. What I often find is people have these different things, bus stop signs and different things they think work, but they're really just worried that people stop calling them, and they can't really say that they get business from it. And so kind of having a hard look at where is the business really, really coming from, and making sure you're not spending money on stuff that is like vanity or hasn't really returned results. And so focus on the stuff that really works. I see you laughing because you probably have people doing that.
Yes, it's funny because, they used to be and still are the grocery cart
Oh, yeah.
signs, and they're like, no, I can't give them up because the other agent's going to put their face in it. And I'm like, well, how many deals have you gotten from someone buying bananas? I'm just curious. And but it's a layering effect. They see me everywhere, and I'm thinking they're probably not going to call you from their bananas, but maybe. So
yeah, and if you think that's wrong, name the agent that's paying for the grocery cart sign. I couldn't tell you.
Well, that's funny too, because when I do see it, because we do occasionally have realtors stick the faces on there, it does kind of make me want to like take a picture and post on social media and say, this is a better way to promote yourself. Call me for coaching.
Right. I love it.
So great stuff. So I love that the transition plan depends. And I think that's so true. Depends on if someone's relocating to a new area. Depends on, are they partial? Are they truly retiring? What that legacy plan looks like. And I know so many agents, think, well, I'll just sell my database, and that sell your database. We don't really do that anymore. And it's hard to judge your relationships on what you would be getting if you bought it. I look at on the other side too and say, if I work this plan with you, the amount of income is unlimited, because I could still be out there going to my networking events, meeting with the groups that I'm part of, and promoting you versus the $50,000 check that you wrote me, which is equivalent to these days, what, like 3 commission checks maybe in a lower market?
Yeah. I mean, if you figure average commission's over 10 grand referral fee, it's not, it's even in a small market, small business, it's probably a year of referral fees, maybe 2.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's less than what you would get. It's interesting because I've talked to a handful of people that have done either I want a chunk of money up front, or instead of doing a 3-year deal, I want to make X dollars, right? I want to make $200,000 or $500,000. In almost all those cases, that was paid off before the time frame of what I recommend. So the retirement agent would have gotten more if they had just done a multi-year deal. And again, you have to look at your business. And also right now, I mean, everyone's client list is producing less volume because people are moving less. And that won't be the case forever. Just like 2018 and 2019 were pretty slow years in most markets, and then COVID hit, and then everyone thought the world was going to end, and then 6 months later, everyone was the busiest they'd been for 2 years straight. So the market dynamic too has a big effect on how valuable that client list is, just simply because when the market's great and interest rates are low, people move more. And when the market is slow or interest rates are high, people move less. And so right now we're seeing less moving, and there's just, again, you could talk about people being kind of handcuffed with their really low interest rate on their house. And I know we all know plenty of those people. I looked at it myself, and I was thinking of making a move, and it was almost double the cost for the same value house. And so, do I want to go from $4,000 to $8,000 a month in a payment? I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. So until you get to that point where you're paying cash, if you're still using leverage, which even if you can pay cash, there's a lot of reasons that are good to do that, we're going to see less volume. But again, someone selling a business today, in 3 years from now, that client list might be significantly more productive if the market dynamics change. I'm coaching a team right now on how to do this and really make this a cornerstone of their business. Our goal is to help them make an extra $1 million a year in GCI. And so we're starting that process of working together to find some businesses and onboard like probably 4 to 5 businesses. It's a great team in a good market that has capacity. They've got extra agents. They could take on more clients. So it's all queued up to really succeed. But they had bought a couple businesses and just put them in their marketing email campaign, and nothing happened because that's not really, the clients don't care. Like, you might as well just be spamming them, like, until they know that you're connected to their agent and that agent's endorsing you. And again, you don't say it one time. You have to reiterate this throughout a year or years. And every time I call, I say, hey, this is Nick. I work with Renee. And you want to anchor yourself to that retiring agent so that those clients remember, oh yeah, that's who helped me buy my house. And this is it's like your dentist retired, but now there's a new dentist. You go to the same place and it all works out. You get your teeth cleaned, hopefully you don't need a filling, and you get to go home. And we haven't had that in real estate. And I think it's just crazy because our relationships and this business is just so valuable, and people really squander it and kind of just throw it away when they're ready to retire. And I've seen how productive it can be. And I want to tell a little story about the first business I took over. This is during the recession. Like, years later, she told me, hey, in the middle of that recession, my husband lost his job, and they lived in a very nice neighborhood, best school district in the city, had a nice house. It was not cheap. And on her new salary, which was less than she was making as a realtor, they really couldn't afford it on one salary. But because she was getting $3,000 a month in referral fees, because I was managing her client list, and we were really productive with it. She had great relationships. We did a good job. It worked out great. We were probably sending her about $3,000 a month. Now, this isn't like 2010 numbers. So today that would be $9,000 a month. Yeah. Well, that was the difference for them being able to stay in that house and keep their kids in that school district for like a couple years until they kind of got their finances and jobs and everything figured out. And I didn't know that at the time. I just thought, hey, we're doing a great job. My team's growing. Great. But it was a lot more impactful than that. And I didn't know that. So don't underestimate how powerful this can be for people. And if you get the opportunity to work with a super agent that's got a ton of money and they're like, I don't need the money. Hey, is there a charity or is there an organization you really believe in that you'd like to send an extra $50,000 or $100,000 a year? So I've done it where the agent says, well, I don't want to keep my license, or I already gave it up 3 years ago, and say, I'll donate your referral fee to whatever charity or group you want. So there's different ways you can do that to really inspire people to work with you in a way that's really positive for the clients and positive for the community. And whether it's helping them retire earlier or whether it's, giving back, it isn't just about growing your business or making more money in retirement. It can be, but it can be a lot more meaningful and a lot deeper than that. So don't underestimate that, the power of that when you're looking to connect with someone.
Yeah, absolutely. a couple of notes. I saw a study by 1000 Watt, I think it was back in December, January, and they said that every individual knows 7 realtors.
Yeah.
And so that speaks to, you can't just put it on a postcard, mail it once, and hope that they realize that you're now with the other agent, right? It does have to be consistency. And I love really emphasizing that the other agent, the adopting agent and the retiring agent have to co-brand, but the retiring agent starts that process with an introduction. So it is that no 7, and then you sit at a kitchen table with a husband and a wife, and now there's 14 realtors, and you kind of feel like they're sitting around the table with you.
Yeah.
Who's gonna be the best bet? And another piece that I heard you say, not underestimating it. I think that this is a huge opportunity for those brokerage firms out there. Like you said, you're sitting down with a team right now, looking at it as a piece of their business model.
Yeah.
Acquisition of teams. How much can we take on? What would we have to do when we need to add to our systems or our teams? I think there's such a huge piece of recruiting there that creates opportunity for these brokerage firms to grow if they know this about their teams within their office. Like, do they want to grow through acquisition? Are they looking to get out and create a partnership, which keeps company dollar in-house versus just putting the license on hold or stepping away and moving to Florida because it's sunny there? That to me is a huge missed opportunity when you don't start diving into your current agent base as a broker owner to find out, is there somebody Nick and his team could work with that could help acquire additional deals to our brokerage?
I'm going to make it really easy for all the broker owners out there. If you have people on your brokerage whose production is declining, you need to talk to them about a partial handoff or a full handoff, whether it's next week or next year or 5 years from now. Have the conversation. And again, you mentioned this, Debbie, before we started recording, be careful of using the word retire. So the scripting I like to use is, I'm curious what your plans are with your business when you're done selling. Because a lot of realtors think of retirement as like a dirty word because they think it's like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not up on the technology. I'm not hustling as much as the other people. They kind of see it as like they're getting pushed out. And so reframing that from every other industry, retiring is like the goal, right? If you want to see a happy retired person, talk to a retired attorney. Every attorney I know that retires is like the happiest person in the world because they've worked really, really hard to eventually not have to be an attorney in most cases. I know there's probably some people that love it and want to do it forever. But, in real estate, for some reason, there's like this kind of black mark on the idea of retiring because we're on our own. There's no company pension, there's really nothing. You kind of have to make it yourself, whether you do that through buying investment properties, building a, real estate and stock portfolio, funding your own IRAs and 401ks. But the Golden Handoff is another piece of that. It's another really great supplement to it that can help. Maybe you can retire a couple years earlier. One thing, not to get dark, but, I have friends that decided to retire early. And then, years later, when they would have traditionally retired, they had a big health scare or they lost someone in their life. When you talk to people that have experienced that, they're like, thank God I didn't just keep working so I had X dollars more or a bigger retirement house or a better boat or a faster car because I would have missed out on this year, 5 years, 10 years, of your health or your experience with loved ones that you might have missed all of it. Don't take that for granted that we are not here forever. If you love this job and it's what gets you up in the morning. And I know a handful of people that absolutely fit this. Really good mentors of mine, brilliant people. It's like what they love to do. It's their game. It's their hobby. It's their business. Then keep doing it. Absolutely keep doing it. But if you're not growing and you're not continuing to learn and you're not looking to expand and build your business more and more, it's really worth looking at being intentional about that and finding someone to partner to take all the stuff you don't want to do or you don't have the bandwidth to do anymore.
Yeah. And for so many of these agents, they do business planning every year, which is typically just the plan for the next year. And like you said, they've committed to selling homes until they're gone. That's I'm never going to not sell a home. I'm going to be 79 and in my glamour shot, on my business card. But again, it's like, it's a plan. It's just creating a plan, right? Creating a strategy around, do we have the pieces in place? Are we appropriately marketing our database? And I think that's what you're saying too with some of these agents is go ahead, buy the book, just buy the book. I love it. It's the gospel. Buy the book and start at least putting your business into place as to what it would need to look like to go to someone and say, hey, I'm thinking of retiring. I'm thinking of phasing out. I'm thinking of making a change or have a succession plan. And now it's like when you do a business brokerage transaction, you have your financials, you have your marketing in place, you have your team set up, you have your systems. And if nothing else, if you build to sell and never sell, good for you. And if you build to sell high, buy low, right? Sell high because you've got it in place.
Yeah. And if you want to really, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, well, this is great information, but I'm not going to retire for 20 years and I don't necessarily want to grow my business to 1 million deals a year. That's totally fine. So take this away. The value of your business is the value of your relationships. And like you said, everyone knows 7 other realtors. So make sure that you're engaging with your client list a couple times a year personally in a way that you can have an impact and maintain relationships and really have a conversation, not just send them a marketing piece or a market update. And make sure you're keeping your database updated. You know, it's funny because realtors, I don't think ever change their phone numbers, but normal people do all the time. And people change their emails. People move and don't tell you, gasp. So make sure that when you're talking to people, you've got the best email and phone number. And I just did it today. I was reaching out to a realtor that I used to work with, and I know she's changed brokerages a couple of times. So I'm like, I have your personal email, and then I have like this old brokerage email, but I don't have your new brokerage email. So do you even still look at your personal email, or do you only look at this one? Don't take that for granted. So if the only thing you take away today is stay in touch with your people, keep your database updated, you'll be miles ahead of your competition, and it'll make your life so much easier.
I love it. All right. So where can they find more resources from you, and how do they connect with you if they want to have an additional conversation about some type of handoff?
Awesome. So best place to go is goldenhandoff.com. Books on Amazon, so you can find it really easily there. There's, I think, a link on the homepage for Golden Handoff to the Amazon page as well. If you sign up there, you'll get access to all the editable contract scripts, dialogues, announcement letter, and I add more resources to that file so people can get access to more goodies for free. There's also a calculator there that uses the model in the book to show you, based on your average commission and the number of repeat and referral clients you work with every year, how much is your business worth to you as a retiring agent and how much is it worth to an adopting agent? And so whether you're looking to sell your business or you're looking to buy a business, if you know those two numbers, it'll give you a sense of that value over 3 years. It's a really easy tool. You don't need a login or anything or a password. You just click on it, put the numbers in and hit go, and it'll spit out your little report for you.
That's great. And we'll also throw the link in the show notes so they have easy access to that. We'd love for them to find you and take advantage of all of the materials you've put together for us. And Nick, I want to say thank you so much for being with us today. Really appreciate you and all the wisdom that you share to keep our real estate businesses thriving and money in our pocket.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Debbie. Great talking to you and your team.
Thank you. Bye-bye.